first question is please tell me about your experience with CPALMS.
Okay, great. Yeah, my first real experience with CPALMS was actually back in 2018. And I had opened up a charter school, or was the founding principal at a charter school in Duval County called Duval Charter School at Coastal. With that, we expanded and we added seventh grade, and we knew just how important civics was to our school grade. And we had opened up our first year as an A, and we wanted to make sure that we maintained that. So we really put a focus on civics as well as a lot of other areas. But CPALMS was wonderful for us in that we had a wonderful civics teacher, but again, we had never really assessed. So what we did was we had another teacher during an intervention enrichment time that used the modules from CPALMS that you had developed for the civics course. And we used that time instead of using the academic time that we had for civics to kind of make sure that we had recovered all the information. Then our civics teacher, they took the little quizzes at the end of each module. Then our civics teacher used the information on how the students performed on each of the modules to really drive that last 2.5, 3 weeks of review. And that on top of, just having a great teacher, and we had great kids, our first year in civics, we were a 92, which did lead us to an overall school grade of a 72. So we were very happy, one, again, with great teachers, but having a resource for free like CPALMS that could really help us out.
Thank you.
Absolutely. On top of that, just the teacher toolkit, and I hope this kind of makes sense, but a lot of teachers are very excited about teacher pay teachers. And I am also an advocate of that also. With that, with our teachers, if they do teacher pay teachers, they have to then take that lesson and then kind of adapt it to make sure it's at the right level, the right depth of knowledge for the standard. Where if we use the lessons that are available on CPALMS through the teacher toolkit, then we know that that's been vetted through other teachers as well as other professionals. So we know that we don't have to adjust or adapt the lesson as much by going to CPALMS.
Well, thank you. I think you addressed this question, but I just want to see if you want to expand on any of it. Is how has CPALMS supported teachers and students in your campus?
Yeah, I think that, for us, particularly with the transition to the new standards, we have amazing teachers. And again, now I'm a principal at a new school, a founding principal here, but many of the teachers are the same teachers that I had worked with in the past. So I knew they were extremely effective in the classroom with their students. However, with that transition to new standards, we really needed to make sure that we were addressing the changes from the old standards to the new best standards. And CPALMS has really kind of helped our teachers guide through either with the lessons or just kind of reviewing the lessons to make sure that we are making the necessary adjustments as we assess on the PM1, PM2, and then of course preparing for that final PM3.
And thank you. And one last question, if you want to expand on this, is what impact have you seen on student tutorials on student performance?
Well, and again, for this school year, I haven't seen as much. I suspect we will as we start getting into the year a little more. But I did, again, my best experience with the student tutorials was with our civics course in 7th grade. And, anytime I talk to a school that has civics, because that's the one I know well, I always recommend those tutorials because we know civics really hasn't changed much from, there's no new standards on the civics. So with those tutorials, I know for a fact that they were very effective. So I always recommend the teachers to make sure that while your civics teacher is teaching through the standards, to use those as a supplement, much like we did with our success. The other thing I always recommend was if you happen to have teacher turnover in your civics course in 7th grade, and you've got a long-term sub or something along those lines in that class, it's a great resource to give the administration peace of mind to know that we are teaching the standards that we need to teach and getting through those standards before the assessment in May on civics. So again, we really haven't started moving toward the student tutorials for the other grades or other subjects, but I do see us doing that as the year progresses.